Now, you mentioned legal action. It seems as if the Senate, of which you are a member, is under siege. And what do I mean? What I mean is that as we speak, Senator Dino Melaye is facing a charge of gun running. You are about to, if all the reports are correct, to face a murder charge. Senator Basi Akpan was arrested a few days ago by the EFCC over some matter relating to the 2015 elections and the receipt of vehicles and so on. Then there was the invasion and the disappearance of the mace. Shortly after that, the most recent one is the Senate President himself alleging that the Inspector General of Police is preparing to frame him, as well as the Kwara State Governor, on charges relating to some incidents in Kwara State. Now, there are those who said that you opened this kind of worms when you and turned public opinion against the Senate when you announced how much the senators were earning as take-home pay. Can you see the nexus between the two? Is there a nexus between the two? Is there a connection between the two?
Okay.
Maybe that's the first part of the question.
Okay. Well, first of all, we must admit the fact that democracy is under onslaught at this very time here. The parliament is the oxygen and soul of democracy. It exists as a stage where representatives of the people can protect, project, and defend the interests of their people, mandated by their people to do that. The parliament is the only checkpoint against the excessiveness and arbitrariness of persons who find themselves in executive positions. What is happening against the Nigerian parliament today is reflective of the very fact that there is a growing culture of political intolerance and persecution against parliamentarians. The issue of Dino and that of the Senate President as of now, and my issue and several other issues, I am not talking about the allegations of corruptions against some of our colleagues, which they have the right to defend themselves. But I'm talking about some of these framed up criminal charges that are coming up. In my own case, 3 weeks ago, I received a letter from the Commissioner of Police in Kaduna State. And the letter stated that there was an audio brought to them where somebody confessed that I paid him money to kill someone. Before then, we did our own investigation. My aide and one other person were arrested by the military on the orders of the governor of Kaduna State. They were tortured by the military on the orders of the governor of Kaduna State. And they were told what to say. And out of torture, they made some statements implicating me. But when the audio and the suspect were transferred to the police, now they wrote a statement without duress and said, this is what the military did to them. They arrested them and they told them that the only way for you to get out of this is for you to implicate Shehu Sani. Now, the mysterious things about the allegations of murder against my person was that there was no dead body. No dead body was brought to the police to do autopsy, and there was also no complainant. It was an audio that was brought to them. And when the invitation was sent to me, maybe the thought of the like of Nasru and his own cohorts, maybe I would not honor the invitation. And I did. When the police invites you, you have to go and make your statement very clear. This is what I believe. As an activist, I have been to many prisons, I have been to many jails, I have been to police detention centers, military facilities, and even SSS cells. I am not like Nasru El-Rufai, who ran away because Eradua was looking for him. And I was also not like others who think that the police should not invite them. I should be there. And I did that, and I wrote my statement, and I was released on self-recognition. But I'm still going to pursue it to the last point. But I want to let you know, El-Rufai has sued me in Kaduna State High Court, demanding for 2 billion naira for what he said was a defamation against his person. And I also sued him for 5 billion naira for defamation against my person when he made statements against me. I don't want to go deep down because the case is in
the courts. Yes.
And now, so he is in court and also I am in court. So it has been cessation of battles for the last 3 years. He has forgotten that it is God that gave him power. He wasn't in power yesterday. He said he was persecuted yesterday because he wasn't in power. But today he is in power. And how you use power against people who are not in power will also determine your fate when you're out of power. As for the National Assembly, we have in the last 2 years been under serious intimidation and persecution for the very fact that we refuse to be a rubber stamp National Assembly. And I am of the belief that this is part of our experience. But the unfortunate thing is the very fact that it is happening under a government and a party that made pledges to do things differently from what it used to be in the past. In the past, the PDP was accused on so many occasions by our men of running a police state, arresting, persecuting people, selective anti-corruption crusades, and whatever. But here we are today, and our members are threatened with recall, even a recall process that failed in Kogi State. A whole Senate president is raising an issue about himself. And on my own case, you can see what we are facing. So, but people shouldn't look at it. It is not onslaught against us, but it's onslaught against democracy. Because if you don't have a parliament, all you will have is the wishes and ideas and dictates of one person. And I believe we can't run a nation of 180 million people. And so I am of the belief that in the future, Nigerians will look back and say that really the 8th Senate was a Senate that was run and peopled by men of integrity and conscience who refused to surrender and to be subservient to the executive arm of government.
You didn't address the question I mentioned about the money.
Okay, in this case, what I said was that this was what we were being given as senators and as also members of House of Reps. Why I did that was to formally bring an end to the culture of secrecy that has in the last 19 years undermines the integrity and the reputation of members of the National Assembly. There were all sorts of insinuations and allegations that we were paid 50, 100, 200 million naira every month. And when I came to the Senate, I observed that many of our members were not prepared to speak out and reveal what we were actually earning, for the very fact that they are afraid of what their constituents and their people will do to them. But I said, as an activist who have made pledges to cast the light where there is darkness. So what I did was to make it public. And I know it came with a lot of pride, even within my own family, my friends, my associates, and people were shocked that this is what you have been collecting, and others were also collecting. And I also lost friends in the National Assembly because many of them stop talking to me and stop inviting me for some meetings, which they do, thinking that I will always reveal whatever has been discussed. But I don't care. What bothers me was the very fact that I cleared my conscience. And I have to do it because we need to bring this to an end. There should be no gray areas in public office. And now that Nigerians know what the members of the National Assembly are earning, they should also ask, what is the running cost of our ministers? What is the running cost of our governors? What is the running cost of head of government parastatals? What is the running cost of presidential advisors, aides, and men around the president? And what is the running cost of the president and the vice president? So it may be unpalatable and painful for the fact that I revealed our earnings or what we are being given every month. But it has healed and has brought a closed chapter to the fact that people don't know what we are actually earning. Now we know. And now if you are doing some good to your people, they know very well that it's not an act of charity. It is not also an act of philanthropism, that you are giving them what rightly belongs to them.